Hello everyone, how is it going? Welcome to Godot tomorrow. Great to have you all here. Sorry for the jump scare. How you been? It's been a long time since we do just a regular one. Uh, yeah, I see a lot of you there. It's great to have you back. I'm Emilio. We're gonna be going through some of the news that happened over the past weeks. Then we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that happened, like the Showreel, the GodotFest, and of course, first of all, the dev releases. We also did a Q&A last week. Hope you liked that one. But yeah, let's get to it. Let me see if okay. All right, let's go. Let's jump into it. So we had the dev snapshot number 4 for 4.6, which is coming along very nice, and this is the almost the last one. We're gonna soon going to be going to the beta phase, which means that we're not gonna be adding more things to Godot 4.6, and we're gonna try to clean it up, stabilize everything, and then get ready for the release. So you still can get a few of the things that you're waiting for in, but soon there's gonna be no more new cool stuff. There has been some updates here from the highlights. The animation team, which is always working relentlessly, Tokage has added more things to address the missing inverse kinematics that the engine had, like in the change from Godot 3 to Godot 4. Some of those nodes got axed, and they're slowly creeping their way back in. Ideally, we're gonna have the same functionality but better in the future. So I'm not gonna go too deep into this one. There's new classes that you can use and general improvements, but there's something I wanted to highlight, which is this amazing before and after demonstration, which is always nice to see. This is how it was behaving before, this is how it is behaving now, so you can see that you have like a limit, so it will not break a lot. It's very funny. And if you aren't on Blue Sky, there was this post by Lucy Lavend, which was great. Basically, she's saying like they got patch notes, made me laugh, so I added sound effects to it. So let's look at sound effects for this. I think that's great. Would be great to get more sound effects on it. There's also, of course, the first thing I thought about, somebody else commented, which is like the Gary's mod sound, like the Half-Life sound, which she also provided. I don't know why I don't get audio on my headphones. I think you're listening to it, right? But my headphones are acting up, so yeah. But okay, let's keep moving. If you don't know who Lucy is, she has a great channel. You should go subscribe. She's doing like amazing animations and videos, tutorials on Godot. I've heard that there might be some new videos coming, so yeah, you should subscribe. But yeah, let's keep moving along. Some various improvements on the project manager. Basically, what we have here in this demonstration is the better navigation. You can see here in the middle of the screen the input, and then what happens actually in Godot. So that's always nice. And there has been also some changes, which before they added the show in file manager here, but it was reverted, and now everything lives inside of this right-click menu. So yeah, you can have better control, and I think it makes more sense. You can also click on that folder icon there to open the folder where the project has it, but yeah, it's just UX improvements. Then Kobewi has added another highly, like, I was surprised that this wasn't a thing, but apparently it wasn't. So now you can go into the settings for the editor from the project manager before opening any project. And that's great because sometimes you need to just go in, tweak some things, and you don't want to wait for the project to load or whatever. I think it's a great addition. Then there's the nerdy part, which there's a very good warning here about like this being super nerdy. So if you're more interested, you should check it out. But let's go to the highlights. I selected a few of them that I liked. The first one is the indicator to linked resources. So this is something that we're dealing with for a long time in terms of like how people feel about it. Basically, what you get here is that whenever two nodes are using the same resource, the problem that you have, or the advantage that you have, depending on how you're using it, is that if you modify one, it will modify all those versions, all those copies everywhere else. And that's mostly what you want in the majority of cases. But sometimes you want to make a modification that's only for that specific node. So now you will get an indicator with that, like link there, kind of like the chain kind of there, which means that these changes that you're making into the shape are going to be affecting the other. And once you make it unique, you will have the icon of whatever resource you have without like the chain. So I think this will make it more explicit that you're using a resource that's shared among others. And yeah, hopefully this will bring less confusion. It's hard at the moment to know if you're going to modify something that's being used anywhere else. But with this change, hopefully it will address that. But yeah, when this version release, whenever it's ready, we might have it ready probably for January, but it depends on how quickly the bugs get fixed during the beta phase and how everything goes with the development. But yeah, you can expect it for January, something like that. Not this year. Okay. Then another one that I wanted to highlight, which is this one, automatically open newly created scripts, which is very evident. And those are the things that is like, those are the changes I like to see. It's like, how was this not a thing before? In this case, when you create a script, it will now just open it, which, yeah, I think it's quite self-evident, but a good one. Let's see what else I had around here. We've seen this one. Okay, this one, the pop-up menu getting a theme for like a theme option to show like all the icons and the options in a column. So you can see here the before and after. Here we have like the expand and collapse icons that are in a different line than the buttons. And you can see here like basically trying to make it all like you get it in other menus. I think this one is really cool. Every time I'm doing drop-down menus, I find things like this that are a bit awkward. So hopefully, more fixes to this will be added eventually. And something that's not here, but as always, if you want to check all the changes, you can see the link in the description, or I will leave it now in the chat to read more. You have always the interactive changelog where you can see everything that got merged. So what we do on the post is that we only show some highlights that the team decided that they were worth mentioning, but there were like 170 different changes in this version. So you should go read. There might be some things that you're very passionate about that I didn't mention, the blog post didn't mention, but still worth checking out. You can get to the changelog here with the interactive changelog link. Another thing that came through, but it will not happen for 4.6, it's the draft version of the new asset store. So Yelham has been working on this, basically like replacing what right now the asset library shows, to show the new asset store. Well, GitHub is not letting me open the links. So this one, is pretty exciting to have. As I mentioned in the previous episodes of Godot Tomorrow, the goal here would be to get the asset library on a maintenance mode where nothing else happens, which is kind of how it is right now. But ideally, we would replace it soon. By soon, I mean, very soon, probably 4.7. And the asset store will be the default one on all of this. For doing that, we need to make sure that from the editor you don't feel a big difference, and that we are supporting like all the new features that we have. Right now we are still in beta here in the asset store, and we are not gonna be focusing on any of the paid stuff. The goal right now is as soon as possible replacing the asset library, and I think we're pretty much there. We already have more features. I've seen people recently commenting on GitHub about wanting to have favorites. You do have a library here that you can add things to. You can add reviews. You can do a lot of things that you couldn't do in the previous version. So it's always nice to have like this basically on the editor, and hopefully people will start moving the assets that they used to publish on the asset library to the new asset store. So yeah. I have a big question about the asset library. Hope to not forget later. Yeah, I mean, feel free to ask at any time. But yeah. All right. So this one I'm pretty excited about, but there's still a lot of things to cover. Right. So something that happened like right after we did the last stream was the new Showreel is out. Have you seen it? Do you like it? Like, I will play it here without audio on the background. We don't really need to see it again. Oh, what is happening here? I don't know, like the headphones are interfering with, maybe I should just turn them off. Yeah. But yeah. It's been great, very, very sad to see so many cool games not making it. Excuse me. And yeah, it's every year there's so many cool projects, and it's always nice to have here on the screen, which is paused at the moment, to have a new video to show. But yeah, the next Showreel better be 3 hours long. Yeah, no, like that's always a balance, right? Like there is some room of extra games we can fit in depending on the song we end up picking. In this case, the video was edited by Coppola, who is great YouTube content creator that's doing videos about Godot, also covers some of the news, tutorials, and all that. And you have to pick a song, and that's kind of like the time that you have. Excuse me, need some more water, but there's just only so much you can do. I already kind of feel like there's way too little time, too little information from each game. To try to fit as many as possible. It's always good to show the most important impactful things of their videos, but there's still a lot that you have to leave out. And yeah, this year has been really, really good. Yeah, excuse me, I'm still I don't know why I'm still coughing from the conference flu, which is something that I also wanted to cover. Do not die live. Well, at least if I do die live, you guys can call for help. But yeah, great showreel. And do not be discouraged. I know a lot of you got really, really, really close to making it, and we're gonna be doing one next year. So if you have your project, in a good state, always submit. I've heard some people that they tried in the past to submit, they didn't get in, and they didn't try again. You should try again, because your game in the next year might be better already enough to make it through, and you never know. So yeah, I wanted to go over that later, because I was hit with the Godot 19 on the conference. I know like a lot of you also. I don't know who from here on the chat attended, but Stain made this amazing image, which basically, like after the conference, a couple of us started to feel sick. If you hear the interview I did with Clay, the Q&A from last week, at the beginning during the intro, you can hear myself coughing, which is kind of funny. Now I made sure that the scene doesn't have the audio. But other than that, that's the only bad thing I can say about the conference. And, the only thing I have left is that cough, which is just not going away. But otherwise, it was great. And Stain also gave me this one, which is like a coaster and also has the information there, which is super cool. And I know that he's been always posting or shit posting a lot of stuff on the Reddit. But yeah, if you were not able to go to GodotFest, all the videos from the talks are uploaded to their channel, which is great to have that quickly. That's something that people mention that in GodotCons that usually takes a bit longer for us to upload, and in this case the video team did a really, really good job. Excuse me. So if you missed it, you still can enjoy a lot of the talks here. There's a Q&A, which is more or less like a Q&A I did, more or less like a video I usually do here, but in person. So you probably already know my answers to the questions there, but there's many other cool talks. The one from Dog Walk about how they worked on it. There's also other ones like, where is it? Here, the audio one, I've heard very good things about this one. The one that René from Dawnkeeper also gave, where is it? This one is really good as well. Don't ship the wrong game. And yeah, I really recommend it if you are interested in knowing a little bit more.
Documented this framework, so it's not a framework.
I will leave also the link in the description. But yeah, more or less I'm kind of recovering still from this. All right. Let's see. What else do we have for now? Oh, another update, something I wasn't able to celebrate a lot, which is we got finally to 100,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So hopefully soon I will get the plaque to show on the background there. It's been a long time getting here. I remember us being in 90,000 for a very long time. And it seems like lately with the Showreel and the streams that I'm doing, we were able to make it through. So that's always great. Well, I don't think we're gonna get to the next one. I think the next one is like a million subscribers, and that's too far away. But still, it's nice. And hopefully, if eventually we end up having a Godot office, we can start showing all those awards and things like that, which was one of the things that I remember from the Blender office that was quite nice. But yeah, thank you for everyone for subscribing. Thank you to you. I wanted to touch also on another topic that happened, and I wasn't able to explain a little bit, which was that we got a new sponsor. In this case, is ARM, which is a new corporate sponsor in the gold tier, and it was a bit unfortunate, and I was very surprised about the reaction to this one, because, of course, maybe I'm too deep into tech to know who they are. They do basically chips, like millions of chips, and people only saw the description of the link. So basically, when you link a website, it creates like a description, and they have power in the future of AI compute. So everybody started talking like, "Oh my God, Godot is going full AI. Oh my God, I no, please, the sponsor shouldn't be influencing what Godot is doing." And I was like, "Do you guys not know who ARM is?" I was really, really surprised about it. Some people have removed their comments about it, which, I mean, feels a little bit embarrassing that had to get to that. But, I was really, really surprised. Same happened in any other places, and I wanted to go over the things that sponsors can and cannot do, just in case people forgot. Here in our website we have some explanation of what a sponsorship is, and I try to create this to try to address this sort of like worries that people have, right? Like when we get a new sponsor that maybe they don't feel comfortable with. So I wanted to go like what sponsors can do and what sponsors cannot do. So sponsors can make directed donations towards specific goals in our priorities. That means that if, let's open the priorities that we have. Let's say, imagine you're a sponsor, you have a lot of money, you want to help Godot do something, and you say, "Oh my God, the SDFGI needs to be improved," which I know that a lot of you on the chat always are asking about this one. So you can say, "Okay, I'm going to make a donation to the Godot Foundation, and I want you to work specifically on this." That's something that a sponsor can do. It's like, I don't care about audio, I don't care about physics, I don't care about it, I care about only this specific issue. That's something a sponsor can do when they are sponsoring. They also can have regular status updates. So if they donated, they can meet with us and say, "Hey, how are things are going? Is there anything you guys are planning on?" Many times they're interested, like, "Are you doing any events that we can maybe participate?" Things like that. They can also suggest implementations of open standards. What are open standards? Where basically any technology that we use to make Godot, for instance, GLDF, OpenXR on VR, things like that are free and open source. They are not proprietary format. They can say, "Hey, we're interested in you supporting this format, this audio format, this video format," or things like that. Also, they can participate with us in events, which is something that you might have seen in some of the previous GodotCons, where you get some talks from some sponsors, things like that. And it's also important to know that the things that they cannot do. So request features or changes that are not part of the priorities. So if they want us to, let's imagine that there's an AI company and they want us to add a Copilot inside of the Godot editor. That's not currently in our priorities. That's not something the community wants. So that's something that they cannot ask us to do. Remember, like they can donate to features, but those features need to be already on our priorities. The other thing that they cannot do is to say, remove all this from the engine. So let's say you're making an audio system for games and you want people to use it. So some people think that they can pay us so we don't work on audio and then they can, get more clients that way. That's an example I'm making up right now, but that's something they cannot do. In that case, we will not be accepting that donation and we will not be working on that. The other thing would be misrepresenting the relationship between the Godot Foundation and them. So they cannot go out there and say like, hey, now we are super friends and we're going to be directing how the development works, anything like that, or represent the Godot engine community. So basically they cannot say like they are Godot now. So I hope that clears up a little bit what things can and cannot do. Okay, we have some questions here. How are the priorities decided? So the priorities get decided by everyone. In this case, each of the teams hold meetings and they, mention which are the things that they most see as being roadblocks for people developing games. Those can also be things that people suggest via social media, GitHub, all of our development channels. So in that case, each of the teams, they have a team lead, and that team lead is speaking from whatever everybody is kind of like worrying about, like which would be those priorities. These are starting to be a little bit outdated. We need to do a new round and update them. But if you want to know what sort of things are coming to Godot, you can see here. And the process to deciding is based on what the community wants, what the people who are making games want. So, sometimes we do get some donations for things that are not as popular. For instance, XR is something that every time we ask people in our yearly poll, there's only a small fraction of people using XR, but we do get donations that are specific for XR, and that's why those things get made. But still, it's up to the XR team, which are people who are working in Godot itself. They are the ones who decide which priorities those are. So yeah, I wanted to clarify this because the reaction to this sponsor, I thought it was going to be the complete opposite. I thought that people were going to be happy that ARM, which is such a big company in the tech industry, was going to, is sponsoring us. And then people not knowing who they are was really surprising to me. So yeah, also good learning for us. I think next time I shouldn't assume that people know who people are, and I should be more careful if they decided to rebrand everything to show only AI things. Maybe I can disable the embedded link and give a little bit more of text from my end. But yeah, let's see. I've seen the chat going fast, and I was there talking and talking. Let's see if I missed some questions. Trying to trigger the chat with HTTP, HTTP, yeah, always. Let's see. Will you get support for C#? We really need that. I assume you're talking about the C# web support, which at the moment we are not working on it because the priority is doing the C# as a GD extension, which has made a lot of progress, and hopefully soon you're gonna get more news about it. If you're really interested, there is an experimental build that you can use. But yeah, at the moment we are still working on that first step. I feel like the roadmap should be a button in the header on the main page. I always forget what it is. But that's a good point. One of my goals that we didn't get enough time to do it was so that if you are a donator, so if you are donating every month to Godot, that you will be able to vote on the different items, so we can get a better idea of what people who are donating want. We can prioritize. So you can expect something like that to come. And yeah, on the navbar, the problem is that we already have a lot of, oops, I clicked the wrong button. We already have a lot of stuff here. There's now like some things that can drop down like so maybe in the features, or I don't know exactly where we can make it fit. But yeah, the website needs an update. Oh, I have too many scenes here. I need to rename them. Okay. Yeah, another thing I wanted to comment, and I wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know who many of you have been on the Q&A we did last week with Clay. If you're interested about rendering, you should go and watch that one. It's on the channel. You can go press on the live tab and see the previous ones. And I also wanted to ask you, for a change, like if there's any other area that you guys are interested. I know there's a lot of interest in many features, but if there's any area, I can try to get someone else here on the stream for a future stream, maybe next month, something like that. Please let me know, and I will try to do my best to get them on the stream. But yeah, let's see what else do we have here. Is there any news about web export sizes? There were some talks in the blog that there will be updates to make it available for web platforms such as Poke. How is it now? So right now in the web exports, there's like an experiment going on, like a development kind of experiment, which is basically being able to load a very, very very small version of your game, maybe with the menu, something like that. And then in the background, start loading different PCKs, basically like the rest of your game. And that's an initiative that's kind of like attempting to fix this issue of having a very big build. So in the future, if this works, if this is something that's viable and that people like it, the goal would be that you upload your game and then you get to it very, very quickly, and then the game in the background is loading the other levels, everything you need. So yeah, it's something that I would like to see done more or less soon, because we've seen the growth of platforms like Poki or Crazy Games, and in every game jam, there's always a lot of web games. Recently, also, there were some news that Web GPU is finally on every major browser. So that means I can imagine that more people are gonna be using and playing web games. So yeah, it is something really, really interesting, and I would love to see it get better. But yeah, let's see. PR also don't get a lot of attention because of those huge refactors. Oh yeah, I don't know which one you're referring to. WebEx for game jams is definitely important, I think. Yeah. Although I thought that was a deciding factor for games winning, but that wasn't the case in a few jams I've seen recently. There was one game who got really good score, and it was made in C# Godot, and didn't have a web export, which is always nice to see. But yeah. Let's see. Was there any plans to integrate features from some of the really widely used and popular plugins, like a built-in terrain system such as Terrain 3D or rollback and prediction like those in Netflix? So not really any plugin specific, but there are plans to improve how you actually interact with those plugins. At the moment, it feels very clunky to install a plugin and need it to download it, put it in a specific folder, how you enable them, all that feels very there's a lot of friction there. So the more we can reduce that friction, I think the better the experience will be. And ideally, with things like global plugins, you will be able to, use the same plugin in different projects. So that's something that I believe is gonna lessen the interest that people have in us merging everything into the engine, because at the end of the day, if you can have a very lean engine but then add the plugins you want, I believe that that's going to be the best experience. And that's how many big studios already work. Like, they develop their own tools for making different things in their specific game. So yeah, it's always hard to include something in the main Godot experience, because that means that we will also need to maintain that in the future. And that's something that sometimes it makes a lot of sense, because are very basic things that every game will probably need. Some other times it's a little bit more game specific. So yeah, I think updating plugins is the most clunky part of the process more than anything. Yeah, and that's something that the asset library didn't do well, and the asset store will hopefully do better, because you can now have different releases, and it shouldn't be that hard for us to provide that API also to the editor, so that when one of the plugins that you're using got an update, you can actually update it. That's something that many plugins do. I remember when I was working in Dialogic, we got it from Dialog Manager, who implemented something like that. And it wasn't too hard to make, but it should be easier for plugin developers to do that. And it should be easier for game developers to be able to do that as well. So now that the asset store has better support for all those sort of like having different versions from different platforms and all that, the updating should be easier. Of course, as I said before, the main goal is to replace the asset library as soon as possible, so we can get started in those sort of features for the editor. Oh, yeah. One sec. I don't know. As soon as I started streaming, I started coughing. I don't know what happened. All right. So those were the things that I had prepared more or less in terms of like things I wanted to chat. I think by next week we should have like probably another build that we can see, and that means that as soon as we get to beta, we will get started working on the release page. This time there's a lot of cool stuff cooking for the release page. I think it's going to look great. I'm looking forward to have something to show you. And as soon as I have something, I will start making some previews here. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we will need to update after this release. A lot of screenshots right now are showing the old theme. So it would be great to start updating those in documentation and many other places. And the website is, it's long overdue that we make some updates. So probably starting next year, you're gonna start seeing some of those changes. I just joined. Don't know if this was mentioned. What are your thoughts on the new AK system? Yeah, I mentioned it very briefly because I'm honestly not that experienced in it. Maybe getting someone from the animation team to talk about it in a future stream would be nice. But I know it's something highly requested, and also that the animation team is working hard to provide something that makes sense for everybody and that's stable. So I'm looking forward to see what people do with it. I'm glad you guys are focused on getting the engine lightweight. It's one of the best things about the engine, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, that's, I feel, something that everybody likes, and it's always hard to keep that way. Sometimes we do make sacrifices, like when adding, improving the text system to support different languages. It's like you need to be picking in accessibility versus weight of the engine, but I think it's worth it. And if you see from the Godot 4 first release until now, there has been some increase in the engine itself in terms of size, but everything that we add is because there wasn't any other way of doing it. The complexity of everything keeps growing. Like the operating systems have different systems that you need to account for. The rendering systems of each operating system is also not behaving as they should. So many times we really cannot pick how smaller we keep things, but it is always a priority. Let's see. Antonio Mendoza asked, are you thinking on control the plugin market somehow? I think you should, as maybe Blender has some financial problems at this time. They grow too much maybe. I think if they somehow have created a Blender market website, which has recently changed the name, these problems would not exist. That's a bit tricky because on one hand, I think it's good that that you get a different source of revenue, let's say, like the store would be. But if that's the only thing that you end up focusing on, then it's really hard, to then start deciding, okay, are we actually the Godot Foundation, or are we going to be the Asset Store Foundation? And I think that nobody wants us to only focus on the Asset Store and that market. The reality is that something like that is something that people want, so we should provide it. There's many technical reasons why it makes sense to have these sort of packages and plugins available for people, and the experience should be as good as it can be. But it will never be like our main thing, so it will never go as fast as a private company could if they were to make like an asset store and focus on only delivering that sort of things. Which you can already sell assets if you want to in places like Fab, I believe, like from Epic Games. But I don't expect that the asset store, like as soon as we allow people to sell assets, I don't expect that we're gonna make a lot of money. The best case scenario is that we cover the costs of developing it and maintaining it, because one of the bigger differences now, before in the asset library, you upload things to GitHub or to GitLab or any other project, and then you download from them. In this new asset store, you are uploading it into a server that we have to be paying for, and you download it directly from us, which it should be okay. And I think that when people are starting to, when people are able to sell assets, we're going to be able to fund that cost and be able to pay for it. But I don't know if it will be like something very profitable. I believe it's always better to make Godot better and ask for donations for Godot than trying to make a business out of an asset store to try to get money to work on Godot. Yeah, it's tricky. And that's why, honestly, that's why we've been taking longer than, you have to on an asset store. The technology is not that challenging if you have people working on it, but it's always about the priorities. Like when there's any other thing that we need to do, we prioritize that other thing versus the asset store for now. But I think next year should be the year that everything is already up and running. And yeah. Yeah, I went a bit too long. Let me go back on the questions here. Recently, a lot of people had issues with Godot UI being laggy unless they use a single window mode. Disabling the Discord overlay also fixes it. Any comments on that? I'm not aware exactly of which issue you're talking about. I do believe that also happened with the NVIDIA kind of like pop-up thingy. And the general answer is basically that, there are some things that are hard to predict. If, for instance, the Discord UI is like the Discord overlay is interfering with the Godot project, is something that's hard for us to tell. and unless they try it and they try to contact us so for us to address it before they release, or somebody else does, we kind of need to wait for someone to notice, report it, and then for us to look for a solution. So in those cases, I think that every issue that I've seen in those sort of areas has been addressed, except for one, when it was creating menus on the editor. But that also has to deal with other, like, which rendering engine you're using. Are you using Vulkan? Are you using DirectX? Are you using, maybe you're on Linux on Wayland, or maybe you're on X11. So like it really depends on many factors. I think that if you're seeing any issue, it will probably get addressed if it's something that before it was better, but I don't know exactly which one you're referring to. Let's see. It would be nice. Hi Rower asked, it would be nice if the plugins could be sorted by something like GitHub stars or something. Yes, that's already a feature in the asset store. Let's see, where is the, one sec. Okay. So in the asset store, you can search, for instance, let's see, tools, and then you can order by reviews. It is not working like as one might expect at the moment. There's many things we need to improve. But you can see here the dialog manager had been like 21 positive reviews. So that's the first one that shows up. And that's more or less similar to the Steam's kind of reviews. And you can see here what people are saying about it. The sorting is not the best because the score, it's tricky at the moment. We didn't have too many reviews yet to make a good review system, kind of like a review score. But yeah, that's one of the things that we want to address in the new version. Let's see. Any other question? Ooh, the chat is behaving a bit weird. It's jumping a lot. And it's got very dark in here. I need to change the lighting. I forgot to get the screen. Let's see. I see some questions about can you make Godot look like Unreal? If you want something to look like Unreal, you should use Unreal. But depending on what you're asking for, yes, you could. If there's anything that you miss, you can also make that feature yourself. The darkness is consuming you. Yeah, I think I underestimated the sun when I started the stream. I thought it was going to be brighter. But yeah. All right. So I think we can leave it here for now. Sorry, this stopped again. I need to make sure that the TV is always running. But yeah, I think we can leave it here for this stream. It was a little bit all over the place, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please ask on the forum. I don't remember it's, let's see, I'm going to leave a link here. Don't remember any question from there that I didn't answer yet. Yeah, no, didn't miss any question there either. The TV should be with you in your conferences. No, I think it's better to show Godot games. It's a shame that it's not focusing properly. Like maybe if I move backwards, it will show better. But yeah, it's nice to have some Godot games there in the background. But yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. It's a lot of people, like 98 people at the moment. That's incredible. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week. See you next week at same time, as always. If you have any questions, please leave the question in a comment here on the channel or on the forum. If you want me to get somebody else for another Q&A, that was super fun that we did last week with Clay, we can do it with someone else in the future. Please let me know as well. And yeah, see you around. I hope for the next stream I don't need to cough every 2 minutes. But yeah, thank you and see you soon.